Welcome back to the Streaming Media NYC show here at the Intercontinental Barclay. I'm here with Clare Butler, and Clare, who do you work for and what's your role?
I work for Grabyo. We are a 100% cloud-native live production, distribution and video monetization platform, 100% built in the cloud.
Okay.
My role at Grabyo, I'm SVP Marketing.
Okay, very nice. And when you say 100% in the cloud for production, is the focus of it primarily Europe, the US? Where do you get your potential customers from?
It's all over. There's no geographic boundary. It's anyone that works in the live space. So we could be talking to news broadcasters, entertainment and or sports, and through to anyone else that produces live content. So it could be a sports rights holder, could be sports clubs and teams, could be anybody in that space.
Okay. And you were on a panel just a few minutes ago. What was it titled?
It was fantastic, actually. It was basically build versus buy your own cloud production.
Okay.
So it was really interesting. So the sort of focus of content was around on-prem infrastructure versus cloud-based infrastructure.
Versus some hybrid in the middle as
exactly.
well? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It was really interesting and fascinating. Of course, I sit very much in the cloud space, so it was important to put across the variants of tech choices that people have these days, whether they want to go to the cloud. Cloud services are very easily integrated to existing on-prem infrastructure, so there's a hybrid approach there, versus through to those who want to build their own, and then they have tech choices as well. So I like to not evangelize, but I like to talk about the cloud from one end of the spectrum to the other. So build your own very much sits on one side of the spectrum, where your organization may have a lot of heavy resources, such as engineering resources. There's a lot of maintenance involved in building your own, versus the other end of the spectrum, which is a SaaS sort of modern version for live production, sort of fully managed service, which makes it more accessible for a lot more people that don't necessarily, or organizations that don't have that access to the big budgets, that certainly for engineering and resources and things like that.
So I've been in the industry going on 26 years now, and we've seen the pendulum swing back and forth between on-prem versus cloud. Hybrid is sort of a relatively new concept, but one of the pushbacks that sometimes happens with cloud is your CapEx cost is lower, but your OpEx cost is higher. From the standpoint of continued operation using somebody else's solution, the premium that gets charged. And I know about 2.5 years ago, as we do twice annual surveys for Streaming Media magazine, we began to see people say, my cloud bill's too high. So where does that sort of economics model fit in it from an OpEx standpoint?
I think from my perspective, or certainly from the live production perspective, I've got two answers to that. One, those organizations that have quite a heavy commitment in the cloud would ordinarily have what we'd call, in certainly the AWS world, because we're built on AWS infrastructure, would have like an enterprise discount program, an EDP, where they have like a 2-3 year commitment, obviously multi-million-dollar commitment to consume AWS services. So if, for example, the people that we speak to that sit in the broadcast engineering side or the production side, they might not necessarily know that there is an EDP commitment that their organisation has. So what that allows them to do is to procure our service, for example, through AWS Marketplace, where they're able to take advantage of the discounted services that they've already committed to.
Volume pricing discount is one model.
Exactly. And then, of course, also it helps them eat away at their committed volumes as well. So not only are they taking advantage of a better discount pricing, but they're also making sure that their financial colleagues are kept happier by consuming the amount of committed services that they've committed to.
And then the other thing that we've seen pushback on is on-prem versus cloud parity of features. And I would say 5-6 years ago, cloud was clearly behind on-prem because they were adding in the features to the cloud-based systems. You clearly sit in the cloud camp, but what do you see from a parity standpoint between on-prem and cloud systems?
Yeah, a very good question. I would say if you asked me that question about a year ago, it would be a very different answer. Only because that we've very much pushed that technology to areas that we haven't really seen before. So in terms of parity, let's take an OB truck, for example. It's got 100 features or whatever, of which you'd only maybe use 15, 20. Now in the cloud, we've focused on building those features that are used, and there's a good 15, 20, probably even more now. So now more than ever, cloud technology is on at parity to on-prem. So let's say, take for example some of the features that we've introduced over the last year or so. Certainly instant replay is a thing that you talked about OPEX and CAPEX a little while ago. You know, for an EVS operator, it takes, what, 20k to have the box. You need an EVS certified operator. You probably need to fly them there and all that kind of stuff. Whereas now we've built that feature that you can do in the cloud. So you can see the obvious benefits there. Through to SCUDdy 35 ad insertions to help monetize live content. That's another big thing that's come out. Okay. There's many other features as well. We've just literally launched AI for our live clipping platform in a partnership with Magnify, which allows automated clipping and highlights at scale. But actually you can also curate the content as well by choosing to really craft the stories as they unfold from the events themselves, knowing that you'll never miss a beat. So from a fan engagement perspective, spitting out that content at high volume and at scale, the human lens that you'd put on that, as afforded by the combination of Grabyo and Magnify, allows for much better quality content at scale. So your fans are consuming a lot more content that they will be happy to engage with.
And obviously, large language models fit better in a cloud scenario than they do on an on-prem anyway, from a compute standpoint.
And also from an integration perspective as well. It's very easy to test out these solutions very easily in the cloud versus on-prem. You know, I mean, one of the biggest comparisons I'd like to, you know, with the hardware situation that you have on-prem, the capacity of that's only limited to its lifespan. Sure. Obviously, the big advantage of that, again, from an OPEX and CAPEX, well, certainly from a CAPEX perspective, is that you're going to benefit from all the upgrades in the next time you open up your browser. So you're not limited to the capacity of the hardware, and basically the cloud services just get better and better.
Well, Clare, thank you for laying out sort of the premise, no pun intended, of the cloud-based solutions. And we'll be right back with our next guest.
Thank you.
Thank you.